March 2020, the COVID pandemic arrived to Colombia. Universities made a lot of efforts and changes so as to adapt to this new situation.
Now it's time to get in contact with the experts and know from first hand their point of view.
During the following 10 minutes, we will hear the opinion of 3 professors of the Biomedical Engineering degree. So, let's see!
University students are stated to be one of the most affected groups in this current pandemic situation. What do you think about this?
Everyone is affected, not only the students.
I agree that university students are definitely affected. I think this pandemic is affecting many different groups.
I'm not sure if they are the most affected group. It depends on what you are comparing.
If I compare between university students and students of high school or middle school, definitely since you are more autonomous, I think the teaching profession can use this fact to take you home, basically.
As a professor of the Biomedical Engineering degree, which are the most important decisions or changes that you had to take so as to adapt the degree in this COVID-19 pandemic?
There is not one single important decision.
Everything is new now because to do theory, for example, online, when you are used to give it in the classroom, it's not the same. So first, because in order to solve problems, it's not that I solve and the students listen, but if I have to do equations and solve problems, I need some kind of, let's say, tablet or whatever to be able to write. So is on the one hand.
It's not only a reorganization of support of teaching, so material reorganization, but it's also reorganization of how you have to pass the message. You need about 2 to 3 years to stabilize teaching methodology, a specific subject. So now from one day to another, we have actually to do in a very accelerated way this change.
I managed to maintain some of the continuous assessment, evaluación continuada, continuous assessment. I managed to maintain it similarly to what we were doing when we were having in-person classes. But of course, the exams are a challenge, no?
At the beginning was a little bit unthinkable. I would not, I didn't like the idea, but okay, we have to adapt, and now it's becoming rather normal, no, to do exams online.
Switching to UPF from our teaching to this very different kind of teaching as a flipped classroom is not something that's straightforward. It will take years before it can consolidate. So do we want that? That's the question.
Did you notice any change in the performance of the students during the pandemic?
No.
The question is, am I validating the competencies at the same level, remotely and in presence?
Personally, so far, I have not noticed a substantial change.
We can see that the rate of success in the exams has actually increased with remote exams. You don't want students to cheat. It's not because you want to punish the students because they're cheating. It's just because if students are cheating, you cannot properly evaluate individual competencies. So you cannot fulfill your duty as a professional, and you cannot really fulfill your duty towards also the society at large.
The students should be the ones that should say, okay, really, I am not getting as much out of these classes as I would if the classes were in person.
As a professor, I think the most difficult thing is to keep proper communication with the students.
The interaction with the students, but because it's kind of strange to be talking and not seeing the faces and not seeing not knowing anything about, because in class you can look, we professors look at you and more or less maybe you have a face of being bored or whatever, but you receive some feedback, some visual feedback. With this, I don't receive any feedback at all, and unless you ask questions, I can know if you are listening to me, if you are not. It's difficult to say.
Having lost visual contact so puts forward a challenge.
In reference to the applied measures, are you applying now the same ones that you used during the last part of the previous academic year?
In general, the methods that I'm using are the same ones that I was using at the end of the previous year, already under the pandemic situation. In general, now I have changed some of the tools. For instance, the tool I use to do video conferences, and also regarding the evaluation, basically the procedure is the same, but I have also fine-tuned it in terms of how to monitor the exams, basically. So it's the same kind of process, but I am fine-tuning them as time goes by. That is.
For me, now it's the first time in this trimester that I'm having to apply.
I have noticed a very positive evolution from the last academic course, so the last third trimester and this trimester. Okay. So I think there has been a certain adaptation of the students, probably of the professors too.
Do you think that some of these taken changes or measures are going to be kept in a possible future study plan? If this is the case, which ones?
From an idealistic point of view, there are things that I have seen an improvement.
Especially if you invite people from outside to some of the classes, for example, to give a talk or whatever. It's very, very convenient. I think that the hybrid format, it's not such a bad idea. No? For some theoretical classes, it may be nice.
Having the recording of the class, I think it's very useful. And also for me personally, having a recording or saving the contents of the Blackboard is also very useful.
But on the other hand, then maybe because of this, the students are more confident that they do not have to assist the class.
We are not a remote teaching university. So we have prepared ourselves. We have very high quality teaching based on methods that are valid for on-campus teaching, so presential teaching. I'm not sure if these changes are here to stay. Right now, I think that if these changes are here to stay, we need to rethink very deeply the teaching methodologies. I'm still thinking that right now we're in a contingency plan. We're coping with bad weather, and we're not doing that bad, but I'm still seeing it as a temporary situation. So hoping that things can come back to presential or mostly presential teaching.
You as a students have to tell us if it's a good idea, if it's not, how can it be improved, at least because our perception could be different from yours.
I think these questions, most of them, I would like to know your answers, okay? Because these are important for me